Hello, friends. Welcome to Akulmach Live. My name is Chandrakant, and today we want to discuss about the COVID situation. In wake of this COVID, how it is impacting all different types of businesses, whether you are enterprise or you are SME or a startup. So I think we have to embrace the technology, and something that we would like to discuss in our show today. But before that, a word on our giveaway. We have some unique Akulmach memorabilia which will make you look outstanding. The graphics on these corporate gifts are based on the global best business practices. To become recipient of one of these gifts for free, you have to watch this video till the end and provide your valuable comments. Or you can also share your experiences. The person who makes the best comment would be chosen to become a recipient of this beautiful Akulmach gift, absolutely free, delivered to your doorsteps. The winner would also get a chance to be invited live as a distinguished panelist during our next video. What are you waiting for, friends? Please subscribe Akulmach and smash that like button. Now let's get back to our discussion. Hello, friends. Let me introduce our guest today. His name is Mike Bradley. He joins us from UK. He is the Chief Strategy Officer of RHF and Scale Up Arena. We are very pleased to have Mike today on our show, and we will be discussing about the sustainability of business in the wake of COVID outbreak.
Chandra, good to see you again.
Good afternoon, Mike. Good to see you, and I envy your background. Don't you see any COVID impact in UK?
Well, we've seen a lot of COVID impact in the UK, of course. It's a recognised fact that we've had a very high number of deaths. We've had significant lockdowns. We've had, a large number of shops, retail outlets shut. We've had the tourism industry pretty much shut down. I think barring China, which I think is now boasting 18% GDP, I don't think there's an awful lot of countries around the world that have managed to avoid the negative effects of COVID. So yeah, unfortunately, we're all in the same boat. One thing we share together is this wretched pandemic.
Well, talking about China, Mike, I think I have my own doubts because it's a large country with a lot of infected people. We don't know what is the reality in China. There is Iron Curtain. So it's very difficult to believe the GDP growth of 18%. It's not, it's miraculous. But let's come back to more democratic countries like India, where, as you know, for last 15 days, I think we are reeling over exponential rise of COVID cases, and for the first time after November last year, we are actually facing the heat of medical equipment, oxygen, and rather lack of it, doctors availability. I think there is a lot of challenging issues now propping up, and that might impact a lot of other businesses that we have. So I would like to ask you, how do we cope up with this, considering that the enterprises, startups, and SMEs alike, all through are going through the same music? What all of these different segments should do from your point of view?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, I'd just like to say I think it's a horrendous humanitarian crisis everywhere. But with the news that we're seeing and what we're hearing about India, it's a dreadful situation, and I think we all have to try and pull together to support. That I hope that there'll be a humanitarian effort to assist with this, and of course we all have the challenge of we don't quite know what the real situation is for a whole host of reasons. I mean, India is a massive country, as a lot of places in India, that it's difficult to accumulate the statistics. It's difficult everywhere to accumulate the true statistics. But I think one of the ways that business can try and survive and pull itself out is obviously through vaccinations, and we are, in the UK, crossing our fingers that the monumental effort and success of the vaccination program, which we've now got a well over 50% of the adult population with at least one jab of their 2 jab vaccines. And I was reading an article this morning which said that we're now actually, the results have been more positive about lack of hospitalizations as a result of 1 jab. So I do believe one of the ways to unlock life, be that social, be that business, is definitely to get a significant major vaccination program underway, which I'm sure is something that India and Mr. Modi and all of his team will be looking at. And it amazed me. I saw yesterday a chart which showed the percentages of each different age group that have actually been vaccinated. The 70s and 80s, 100% have been vaccinated, pretty much. When it gets down to the 50s, there's only 70% of people who've been vaccinated. Yes, okay, there may be some minor risks to having a vaccination, but the risk of being hospitalized and being put in an ICU without a vaccination, to say nothing of the fact that you're potentially more likely to spread, catch, pass it on, and also, be unable to resume normal life, makes not taking a vaccination, if offered, totally irresponsible, in my personal opinion. So if you get the opportunity to have a vaccine, it's crazy not to have one. That said, coming around to the business side, assuming business people are going and getting vaccinated, they're doing their best to sort of minimize the impact, because I believe last night I saw that Delhi is 99% capacity of hospitalizations, and it's a crisis level. But also, of course, being able to maintain business is very, very tricky in the traditional sense. Face-to-face meetings, small retail outlets that rely upon people walking into their store to buy things, to have things fixed, traditional businesses, is a very, very tough situation. And so I think the governments, the large organizations, the charities, they need to find ways to trade with startups and SMEs to ensure that they're able to sustain themselves, because ultimately this is where the economic welfare of any country comes from. 99.9% of all companies are SMEs. That in terms of employee volume, it's not that, but in terms of actual businesses, it's a very, very significant part of any economy. And so we have to look for ways to really seriously support that area. And of course, the SMEs are also the tax generators. So another reason for governments to get behind it is, if they want to have public sector funding, they need to ensure that the domestic SMEs are able to succeed and overcome the problem. So within that context, I think that there is 3 key areas where business can try to sustain itself over this period. There's obviously the national and international aspect. So, for example, with Scale Up Arena, as you'll be aware, we have a network of people across the globe who are involved in the development and support and growth of SME businesses, whether they be traditional or tech, and providing things such as access to funding, access to joint venturing and partnering capabilities, the ability to acquire, to be able to expand without the need to actually travel to a country, but actually utilizing, for example, what we're talking on now, Zoom, the ability to trade internationally. There you are in Delhi. Here I am in London. Oh, I'm sorry, not London, in the UK on the wonderful South Coast. You can see the picture. Yeah, the very fact that we can still talk, build a relationship, trade, hypothesize, come up with solutions, and then actually, thankfully, the logistics business is still operational, apart from when the captain of the ship tried to turn around in the Suez Canal, of course. But thanks to the logistics still being operational around the world, we can still trade using online communications. What would have happened if this situation had occurred 20 years ago is beyond, it's not worth thinking about. We would have had a few video conferencing suites running poor ISDN quality communication. There would have been maybe a minor percentage of people that could communicate. But here we are using digital tools that enable us to talk across the globe, and I don't know, a very small percentage, let's say it's 80-20 rule, 80% of people can now talk online, whether it be Skype, it be Zoom, it be video, it be, WebEx, whatever brand it is, or audio, web, video conferencing solution. Thank goodness we can now do this. So, one of the first things you need to do is not be afraid to use this stuff. It's available, embrace it, optimize it, and at the other end of your call is just another human being with the same challenges, and it doesn't matter where we live in the world. As you know, Chandra, we all want the same things. So, just remember that if you're an SME business, don't be afraid to, like in sales, some people used to be afraid to pick up the phone. You don't sell if you're afraid to pick up the phone. These days, you won't be trading if you're afraid to talk on video conferencing or you don't like it. It's reality. It's there. Be yourself. Be cooperative. Communicate. Collaborate. Connect and close deals together, because you can do it online. I've done it for 15 years. Okay, so I know you can do it. Whether it be with clients, whether it be with employees, there are ways. Yes, it would be nice to meet face to face, but you don't need to be in an office. You don't need, although I enjoy traveling to India, incredible India with lovely views of the Taj Mahal. You saw my LinkedIn post. I love traveling to India, but we don't have to travel. It's nice to travel, and one day when we meet, we'll enjoy having a meal together in Delhi, I'm sure at Connaught Place or somewhere. But, for now, I can sit here in the sunshine of Christchurch and Dorset. In the UK, you can sit in the even warmer sunshine in Delhi, and we can still communicate. So the first thing is, let's embrace the technology. Let's not whinge. Let's not worry about the problems. Let's just be grateful that we can actually still communicate globally around the world and use it for business to generate opportunities. Then, of course, the second area is traditional versus tech. So if you're a steel manufacturing company or a hydraulics business, typically that has been a face-to-face traditional way of doing business. In this day and age, in this current climate, embrace the technology. Because I remember I was running a hydraulics business 15 years ago, and not the Suez Canal, but we were shipping some hydraulic cranes to Mumbai, funny enough, and the shipping company broke down. No, sorry, it didn't break down. It went out of business when the ship was docked in Dubai. And so we had our hydraulic crane sat in the container somewhere on the ship. And it was at that stage really challenging to work out which container it was in, which ship it was on, where it got in the journey. And we had one of these audio conference calls with us all trying to connect in traditional business, the person in customs in Mumbai trying to identify what manifest and what container it would be on, and the shipping company in I think it was Felixstowe in the UK that was organising the transit from here, and then we also had the shipping company that was representing the company in Dubai, and we were trying to unravel the spaghetti situation. But again, thank goodness we have got online communications now. So I could share the manifest with you on a screen. We can say, oh, that's where it is. This is the ship it should go on. We can organize the transfer. The logistic industry is still working. So traditional companies as well can utilize current technology to keep trading, because ultimately there's still trade that's needed. There are still bridges to build. There are still houses and factories to build. There's a whole host of new technology that's going to come out with the goal of getting to zero emissions. There's the solar, there's the wind farms, there's the water power, all sorts of technologies that we need to implement to save the planet. And COVID is not going to change that requirement. So let's just embrace it and get on with those challenges. And then, of course, in the tech space is always changing. India, as you well know, is a hotbed of innovation when it comes to technology. Some of the world's best technologists are based in India. And